Rain fell softly on the dome of Pod 327, making gentle tapping sounds that had become a lullaby to the three siblings who lived inside. Jin, Do-young, and Ji-ho sat in their cozy living room, watching the purple acid rain create patterns on their window. They had lived in this family pod on New Seoul for all their lives, and the rain had been their constant companion. Jin, the eldest at 23, was fixing her brother Do-young's weather suit, while their younger sibling Ji-ho played with their favorite robot cat. The cat, named Bomb, purred softly as it recharged in a patch of artificial sunlight. Everything was peaceful until their communication screen lit up with an urgent message. Their mother's face appeared on the screen, her usual calm expression replaced with worry. "Children," she said, her voice crackling through the speaker, "we have a problem at the Planetary Defense Station. Our sensors have detected a large meteor storm heading toward New Seoul." The three siblings moved closer to the screen. Their father appeared next to their mother, wearing his station uniform. "You need to leave Pod 327 immediately," he said. "The meteors will hit this area first. We've sent coordinates for 3 different safe zones to your personal devices." Jin stood up straight, already thinking like the responsible eldest sister. "How long do we have?" 36 hours, their mother replied. "Each of you must go to a different safe zone. If something happens to one shelter, the others will still be safe." She paused, looking at each of her children with love. "You'll need to build your own shelters when you get there. Use your training." Do-young, who was 20, looked confused. "Why can't we stay together? We're stronger as a family." Their father shook his head. "The safe zones are small. They can only support one shelter each. But don't worry, they're all within communication range. You can talk to each other through your devices." Ji-ho hugged Bomb tightly. At 18, they were the youngest but often the smartest of the three. "What about you and Mom? Will you come to the safe zones too?" "We have to stay at the defense station," their mother said softly. "Someone needs to try to break up the bigger meteors before they hit the planet. But we'll be safe here in the mountain bunker." The screen suddenly flickered as another wave of acid rain hit the pod. Their father looked at something off-screen and frowned. "You need to start packing now. Take only what you can carry. The transport pods are ready in the garage." "Remember your training," their mother added. "Jin, you're good with quick builds. Do-young, you know your materials. And Ji-ho, your AI skills might save your life. Use your strengths." The screen went dark, leaving the three siblings standing in their suddenly quiet living room. The rain continued its gentle pattern on the dome, but it no longer felt as cozy as before. Jin took charge immediately. "Okay, let's get moving. Do-young, get the emergency packs from storage. Ji-ho, download all our building plans and survival guides to your device. I'll prepare the transport pods." As they rushed around their home, gathering supplies and checking their weather suits, each sibling felt the weight of what was happening. This pod had been their home for years. The walls were marked with their height measurements. The kitchen still smelled like their father's morning coffee. The window seat was worn from all the hours they spent watching the rain together. Ji-ho stopped for a moment, looking at their family photo on the wall. It showed all 5 of them smiling, taken on a rare sunny day. They quickly took the photo and tucked it into their pack. Within an hour, they had loaded 3 small transport pods with their essential supplies. The garage door opened, revealing the rainy world outside. Their weather suits would protect them from the acid rain, but they needed to hurry. Jin hugged her siblings tightly. "Remember, check in every 3 hours. Build smart, build safe." She tried to sound confident, but her voice shook slightly. Do-young nodded, already checking his coordinates. "The mountains for me. Stay safe, both of you." Ji-ho gave Bomb one last pat before placing the robot cat in their transport pod. "We'll see each other soon. Once the meteor storm passes, we'll meet again." The 3 transport pods hummed to life, their lights cutting through the purple rain. As they prepared to leave, Each sibling took one last look at Pod 327, their childhood home. Then, with determination in their hearts, they set off in different directions, each heading toward their assigned safe zone, while the rain continued its endless dance across New Seoul's sky. Haejin's transport pod glided through the forest zone, its lights cutting through the constant rain. The trees here were different from the ones near their old home. These were taller, with broad leaves that glowed slightly in the dark. The rain made soft sounds as it hit the pod's protective shield. She checked her device again. The safe zone was just ahead, marked by a small clearing among the bioluminescent trees. Her heart beat faster as she landed the pod and looked at her surroundings through the window. The acid rain created a purple curtain around her, making everything look magical and dangerous at the same time. "Time to work," Haejin said to herself. She put on her weather suit and checked it twice. One small hole could mean serious burns from the acid rain. The suit's display showed 32 hours until the meteor storm would arrive. It wasn't much time. Haejin stepped out of the pod and began unloading her building materials. She had chosen quick assembly polymer sheets for her shelter. They were light and easy to work with, even if they weren't the strongest material available. As the eldest sister, she had always believed in being practical and efficient. The rain grew heavier as she worked. Each polymer sheet locked into place with a satisfying click, but Haejin noticed something worrying. The acid rain was making the sheets slippery, forcing her to work faster than she wanted to. She knew rushing could lead to mistakes, but she had no choice. Warning: acid rain concentration increasing, her suit's computer announced. Recommend seeking shelter within 1 hour. Haejin wiped the rain from her suit's visor and called her siblings on her communication device. Do-young answered first, his voice slightly distorted by static. "Haejin, I've just reached the mountain zone," he said. "How are you doing?" "Building as fast as I can," she replied, lifting another polymer sheet into place. "The rain is getting stronger here. Have you heard from Jae-ho?" "I'm here." Jae-ho's voice joined the call. "The valley is amazing. I found some old technology that might be useful." Haejin smiled despite her worry. Jae-ho always got excited about technology. "Remember to build your shelters first," she reminded them. "We can explore later." After ending the call, Haejin focused on finishing her shelter. The basic structure was complete. 4 walls, a curved roof to let the rain flow off easily, and a small airlock entrance. Inside, she installed the essential systems one by one: air filtration, water recycling, and a basic powered unit. The shelter wasn't beautiful, but it would work. Haejin added a heating unit and a simple cot. She wanted to make it feel more like home, but there wasn't time for decorations. The most important thing was making it safe. Just as she finished the last security check, her device beeped with an alert. The acid rain had reached dangerous levels. Haejin quickly moved her remaining supplies inside and sealed the airlock. Inside her new shelter, Haejin finally removed her weather suit. The space was small but dry. The rain made a gentle sound on the polymer roof, reminding her of Pod 327. She missed her old home already, but at least she was safe. Haejin set up her communication screen and called her parents at the defense station. Her mother answered, looking tired but relieved to see her. "The shelter is built," Haejin reported. "It's not perfect, but it should protect me from the meteor storm." Her mother nodded. "Good work. We're tracking the storm here. It's moving faster than we expected. You finished just in time." Haejin felt worry creep into her thoughts. What about Do-young and Jae-ho? Will they have enough time? "They'll make it," her mother assured her. "Your father is monitoring their progress. Try to rest now. You'll need your strength later." After saying goodbye, Haejin lay down on her cot. The rain created patterns of shadow and light on her shelter's walls. She thought about her siblings, hoping they were safe in their own zones. The polymer sheets creaked slightly in the wind, and He-jin noticed a few places where her rushed work showed. She would need to reinforce those spots tomorrow. As she drifted off to sleep, He-jin didn't notice the strange shimmer in the rain outside her shelter. Something was watching, testing, waiting. The real challenge hadn't even begun. Do-young guided his transport pod carefully between the mountain peaks. The acid rain here fell differently than in the forest where He-jin had gone. It came down in sheets, blown sideways by strong winds that whistled through the rocky cliffs. His pod's sensors warned him of dangerous air currents ahead. He landed his pod on a wide ledge that matched the coordinates his parents had given him. The mountainside offered some natural protection, with an overhanging rock formation that would help shield his shelter from above. Do-young smiled, pleased with the location. Unlike his sister He-jin, who always rushed to finish things, he believed in taking time to plan properly. In his weathersuit, Do-young walked around the ledge, testing the ground with his equipment. He wanted to be certain the foundation would be strong. The acid rain ran in streams down the mountain face, creating small channels in the rock. He noted these carefully, knowing he would need to direct the rain away from his shelter. Analysis complete, his testing device announced. Ground stability at 97%, recommended for construction. Do-young began unloading his chosen building materials from the transport pod. He had selected reinforced ceramic panels, which were heavier and harder to work with than He-jin's polymer sheets. But ceramics would offer better protection, and they wouldn't degrade in the acid rain. As he worked, Do-young received a call from Jae-ho. His younger sibling's face appeared on his suit's display screen. Do-young, you have to see what I found in the valley, Jae-ho said excitedly. There are old machines everywhere. I think this was once a research station. That's interesting, Do-young replied, carefully aligning a ceramic panel. But remember what He-jin said about building first. How is your shelter coming along? Jae-ho's excitement dimmed a little. I'm working on it. The valley has some strange energy readings. I want to understand them before I start building. Do-young shook his head. The meteor storm won't wait for your research, Jae-ho. Start building now. You can explore later. After ending the call, Do-young returned to his methodical work. He installed each ceramic panel with precise measurements, making sure every seal was perfect. He added a sophisticated rain collection system that would gather the acid rain and filter it into clean water. The process was slow, but he knew it would be worth the extra time. Hours passed as Do-young worked. He installed atmospheric filters in the walls and ceiling, making sure the air inside would be clean and fresh. He added reinforced windows that would allow him to watch the rain while staying safe. Everything had to be perfect. When the shelter was nearly complete, Do-young's device beeped with an urgent message from his father. The meteor storm has accelerated, his father said, his face serious on the screen. It will hit in 28 hours, not 32 as we first thought. How close are you to finishing? Do-young looked at his shelter. I need 4 more hours. The ceramic panels take time to seal properly. His father nodded. You'll still have time, but don't add anything extra. Focus on the essential systems. After the call ended, Do-young felt torn. He had planned to add more safety features, but now he had to compromise. He completed the basic structure and installed the necessary life support systems. The shelter was smaller than he had planned, but it was solid and secure. As night fell on the mountain, Do-young sat in his new home, listening to the rain on the ceramic roof. The sound was different from the gentle tapping they had known in Pod 327. Here, the rain seemed to sing as it hit the panels, creating an almost musical sound. He was about to call He-jin when he noticed something odd. The rain's pattern had changed. Instead of falling randomly, it seemed to move with purpose, swirling in circles outside his windows. Do-young watched, fascinated and worried, as the rain began to glow with a faint blue light. Something was about to happen. Do-young could feel it in the way the mountain itself seemed to hold its breath. Jae-ho landed their transport pod in the valley, where the acid rain created a soft mist that glowed in the dim light. All around them, The remains of an old research station poked through the ground like ancient bones. Their robot cat, Bomb, sat in the pilot's seat next to them, its sensors scanning the area with interest. "Look at this place, Bomb," Jaiho said, their eyes wide with wonder. "The readings are amazing. There's so much old technology here." They put on their weather suit and stepped out into the rain with Bomb following close behind. The valley floor was covered with strange metal structures that hummed softly when Jaiho walked past them. Their device picked up strong energy signatures coming from underground. Jaiho knew they should start building their shelter right away, as their siblings had warned. But the technology here was too interesting to ignore. They carefully approached one of the humming structures and connected their device to it. "Emergency power cells detected," their device announced. 70% capacity remaining. Compatible with current systems. Jaiho smiled. These old power cells would be perfect for their shelter. They began collecting useful parts from the ruins, while Bomb kept watch for any dangers. The robot cat's ears suddenly perked up, detecting something in the rain. "Warning," Bomb announced. "Unknown energy pattern approaching." Jaiho looked up to see the rain beginning to move in strange patterns. The drops swirled together, forming shapes that almost looked like letters before breaking apart again. They quickly gathered the last few pieces of technology and returned to their transport pod. Inside the pod, Jaiho started designing their shelter. Unlike their siblings who used traditional materials, they would combine old and new technology. They laid out their plans on the pod's computer screen while Bomb analyzed the valley's energy patterns. Time remaining until meteor storm, 26 hours, the pod's computer reminded them. Jaiho nodded and began construction. They used standard building materials for the basic structure, but inside every wall panel, they installed pieces of the old technology they had found. The power cells were connected to create a strong energy field around the shelter. Jaiho added neural sensors that could detect approaching dangers and respond automatically. As they worked, they remembered how their parents had always encouraged their interest in technology. "Innovation comes from understanding the past," their father would say. Jaiho hoped he would be proud of how they were using the old research station's technology. The inside of their shelter was special too. Jaiho created a cozy reading nook with soft lights that changed color based on their mood. They installed sound systems that could amplify or soften the rain's patter, making it the perfect lullaby. Bomb had a special charging station next to Jaiho's bed, where the robot cat could keep watch while recharging. When the basic systems were complete, Jaiho added one more feature. They created a small AI interface that could learn from the shelter's surroundings and adapt to changes. It was like giving their home a brain of its own. "Shelter systems online," the AI announced in a soft voice. "All functions operating at optimal levels." Jaiho sat in their reading nook, feeling proud of what they had built. It wasn't just a shelter. It was a bridge between past and present technology. Bomb curled up next to them, purring contentedly. Suddenly, the AI's voice changed tone. "Alert. Unusual energy pattern detected. The rain is behaving against normal weather patterns." Jaiho looked through their window. The rain had stopped falling downward and was now floating in midair, forming complex patterns. Each drop glowed with an inner light, creating a beautiful but unsettling display. Through their neural sensors, Jaiho felt something trying to communicate. The old technology in their walls hummed in response, recognizing something in the rain. Whatever had been sleeping in this valley was finally awaking, and it was interested in what Jaiho had built. The acid rain across New Seoul stopped falling all at once. In the forest, the mountain, and the valley, the three siblings watched as the purple raindrops hung suspended in the air like frozen stars. Then, slowly, the drops began to move together, forming a shimmering cloud that drifted through the air with purpose. Jin was the first to notice something different about her shelter systems. Her simple polymer walls began to glow with a faint blue light. She quickly called her siblings, but the communication system only produced static. Even her emergency line to her parents at the defense station was silent. In the mountains, Du Young watched through his reinforced windows as the floating raindrops gathered into a tall, humanoid shape. The figure was made entirely of glowing rain, its body constantly flowing and changing. His ceramic walls hummed with energy he had never detected before. Jaiho, in their valley shelter, felt the old technology respond to this strange presence. Their AI systems recorded everything, trying to understand what was happening. Bomb, their robot cat, stood alert by the window, its sensors working at full power to analyze the situation. The rain figure appeared before all three shelters at the same time, as if it could exist in multiple places at once. When it spoke, its voice sounded like water falling on metal, clear but otherworldly. "I am the Stormwalker," it announced to each sibling. "I have watched your kind since the first ships landed on this world. I have seen many attempt to build homes here, but few understand the true nature of this place." Hajin, always protective, stood firmly in her shelter. "What do you want from us?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. The Stormwalker's form rippled. "I want to understand. Your parents protect this world from above. You seek to build homes below. Why do you stay in a place that tries to harm you?" In his mountain shelter, Du Young studied the entity carefully. "This world doesn't try to harm us," he explained. "It's simply different from what we're used to. That's why we adapt and build carefully." In the valley, Jaiho felt their shelter's AI, connecting with the ancient systems buried underground. Through this connection, they began to understand something important about their visitor. "You're not just made of rain," Jaiho said softly. "You're the planet's first defense system, aren't you? The one from the original colonization attempt." The Stormwalker's form glowed brighter. "Yes, I was created to protect this world. But my creators left. They decided the acid rain and storms made this planet too dangerous. They abandoned me here." The entity moved closer to each shelter, examining them with interest. "Now others have come, building homes against the rain and storms. You three are different from those who came before. You don't fight against this world. You work with it." Heijin thought about how even her simple polymer shelter was designed to let the rain flow naturally. Du Young remembered his careful study of the mountain's patterns. Jaiho looked at how they had integrated the planet's old technology with their new systems. "We were born here," Heijin said. "This is our home." The Stormwalker was quiet for a moment, its rain form swirling thoughtfully. "Then I shall test your understanding of this world. Your shelters seem strong, but are they truly in harmony with New Seoul? Can you prove that you belong here more than those who left?" Before any of the siblings could respond, the Stormwalker's form dissolved back into rain. But this rain was different. It moved with intelligence and purpose. The real test was about to begin, and none of the siblings knew what to expect. In the defense station high above, their parents watched their monitors with growing concern as all readings from their children's shelters began to change in ways they had never seen before. The Stormwalker began its tests of the three shelters as the purple rain continued to fall across New Seoul. Each sibling faced a different challenge, designed to test not just their buildings, but their understanding of their world. In the forest, Heijin's shelter suddenly filled with a soft humming sound. Her quick-built polymer walls began to vibrate as waves of electromagnetic energy passed through them. The Stormwalker had noticed how she rushed to build her shelter and now tested its stability. Each pulse of energy made the polymer sheets flex and bend. Heijin watched as her shelter's lights flickered. The electromagnetic pulses were trying to disrupt her power systems. She remembered her training and quickly began to adjust her shelter's settings. "A flexible building survives better than a rigid one," she said to herself, remembering her father's words. Instead of fighting against the pulses, she adjusted her systems to work with them. High in the mountains, Du Young's ceramic fortress faced a different challenge. The Stormwalker had transformed the rain around his shelter into tiny machines that tried to take apart his carefully built walls. The raindrops became like small drills, testing every seal and joint he had made. Do-young stayed calm as he watched his shelter's monitors. His careful construction was proving its worth. The ceramic panels he had chosen were resistant to the rain's attempts to break them down. Yet he noticed something interesting. The rain wasn't trying to destroy his shelter completely. Instead, it seemed to be testing his understanding of how things work together. In the valley, Jeho faced the most unusual test of all. The storm walker used the old technology in their shelter to create dreamlike images all around them. Jeho saw visions of the first colonists abandoning the planet, leaving behind their hopes and machines. They felt the loneliness the storm walker had experienced over many years. Bomb, their robot cat, helped Jeho stay focused through the visions. The cat's sensors could tell the difference between real and projected images. Together, they began to understand that this wasn't just a test of their shelter's strength. The storm walker wanted to know if they could understand its story. As the tests continued, each sibling discovered something important. Jin learned that her quick thinking could be an advantage when she worked carefully. Do-young saw that his detailed planning had created something that could adapt to new challenges. Jeho realized that their love of combining old and new technology helped them connect with the planet's history. The storm walker observed all of this through its rain form. It saw how Jin's shelter bent, but didn't break, moving with the electromagnetic pulses like a tree in the wind. It noticed how Do-young's shelter resisted its tests not through strength alone, but through careful design, and it felt how Jeho's shelter seemed to reach out to communicate, trying to understand rather than just survive. High above in the defense station, their parents watched their monitors with growing amazement. The readings showed energy patterns they had never seen before, but none of them indicated danger. Instead, it seemed like their children's shelters were becoming part of something larger. As the final hours before the meteor storm approached, the storm walker's tests began to change. The rain around each shelter started to move in new patterns, less like a test and more like a dance. The true purpose of these challenges was about to become clear, and it was something none of the siblings had expected. The storm walker's tests had revealed something important. Each sibling's shelter had a unique strength, but alone, none of them could fully understand this strange world. As the meteor storm grew closer, Jin, Do-young, and Jeho knew they needed to work together. Jeho made the first discovery. Through their shelter's AI systems, they found that the old technology in the valley could connect to both Jin's and Do-young's shelters. The ancient machines had been designed to work as a network, sharing power and information across great distances. Jin, Do-young, Jeho called through their emergency communication system. The storm walker isn't just testing our shelters. It's trying to show us something about connection. In the forest, Jin's polymer shelter continued to pulse with electromagnetic energy. But now she noticed that each pulse matched the rhythm of her heartbeat. The storm walker was synchronizing with her, not fighting against her. She remembered how her simple shelter could bend and adapt, just like the rain itself. Do-young, in his mountain shelter, saw that the tiny machines in the rain had stopped trying to take apart his walls. Instead, they were adding to them, strengthening the ceramic panels in ways he hadn't thought possible. The storm walker was teaching him that even the most careful plans could be improved through cooperation. Jeho connected their AI systems to both siblings' shelters using the ancient technology. Suddenly, all three of them could see what the storm walker saw. The acid rain wasn't just rain. It was part of a vast network that covered the entire planet, sharing information and energy through every drop. It's a communication system, Do-young said with wonder. The whole planet is connected through the rain. Jin watched as her shelter systems began to synchronize with her siblings. The first colonists didn't fail because the planet was too dangerous, she realized. They failed because they didn't understand that everything here works together. Through their connected shelters, the siblings could now feel the storm walker's presence more clearly. It wasn't lonely because the first colonists had left. It was lonely because no one had ever tried to understand its purpose, to help humans and the planet work together in harmony. Jai-Ho's robot cat, Bomb, suddenly perked up its ears. Through their enhanced connection, it had detected something in the approaching meteor storm. The storm walker wasn't just testing them, it was preparing them. The meteor storm, Jai-Ho said excitedly. It's not just a threat. It's an opportunity. If we work together with the storm walker, we can do more than just survive it. Their parents, watching from the defense station, saw their children's shelters beginning to glow with a unified light. The energy readings showed something extraordinary. The 3 shelters were becoming part of New Seoul's planetary defense system, working in harmony with the Stormwalker's ancient technology. As the meteors approached, the purple rain around each shelter began to shine with a new purpose. The Stormwalker had found what it had been waiting for all these years. People who understood that survival meant more than just building strong walls. It meant becoming part of something larger than themselves. The true test was about to begin, but now the siblings were ready. Together with the Stormwalker, they would face the meteor storm not as separate shelters, but as one unified system, proving that the strength of New Seoul lay not in resistance, but in connection. The meteor storm arrived in the night sky of New Seoul, lighting up the purple clouds with streaks of fire. But the 3 siblings were ready. Their connected shelters glowed with a soft blue light that matched the Stormwalker's rainform. Together, they had created something new, a perfect blend of human innovation and the planet's ancient technology. In the forest, Heijin's polymer shelter bent and swayed as it channeled energy through its walls. The electromagnetic pulses that had once been a test now helped create a protective field that stretched up into the sky. Her quick building skills had created a shelter that could adapt to any challenge. Do-Young's ceramic fortress in the mountains became a power center, its carefully planned systems working perfectly with the Stormwalker's rain network. The tiny machines in the rain had improved his shelter, making it stronger than he could have built alone. Through his windows, he watched as the glowing rain rose up to meet the falling meteors. In the valley, Jai-Ho and Bomb coordinated everything through their AI systems. The old technology they had discovered now helped all 3 shelters work as one. Their love of combining old and new ways had helped them understand what the Stormwalker had been trying to teach them all along. The Stormwalker itself seemed different now. Its rainform moved between the 3 shelters, no longer testing, but working with them. Through their connected systems, the siblings could feel its happiness at finally being understood. It wasn't just a planetary defense system. It was a teacher, waiting for students who were ready to learn. As the meteors entered the atmosphere, something beautiful happened. The purple acid rain rose up in great waves, guided by the Stormwalker and powered by the siblings' connected shelters. Each drop of rain became part of a huge net that caught the meteors, not destroying them, but slowly breaking them down into harmless dust that sparkled in the air. Their parents watched in amazement from the defense station. The monitors showed how their children's shelters had become part of New Seoul's protection system. The planet wasn't fighting against them anymore. It was working with them, just as the Stormwalker had always wanted. Look, Jai-Ho called to their siblings through their linked systems. The rain is changing. The acid rain that had always been a danger was transforming. Where the meteor dust mixed with the rain, the drops became less acidic. The Stormwalker explained through their connected systems that this had always been possible. The planet could change if humans learned to work with it instead of against it. In the days that followed, more colonists came to learn from the 3 siblings. Heijin taught them how to build flexible homes that worked with the environment. Do-Young showed them how to plan carefully but stay open to improvements. Jai-Ho helped them understand how to use both old and new technology together. The Stormwalker remained with them, no longer alone or misunderstood. It became a guardian and friend to all the colonists, teaching them through the rain about their new home. The siblings' 3 shelters became the first of many new homes that worked in harmony with New Seoul's unique environment. At night, when the transformed rain fell softly on their roofs, the siblings would sometimes gather in one of their shelters. They would listen to the gentle sound of the rain and remember how their simple fairy tale had changed their world. Their shelters weren't just safe places to hide. They were bridges between humans and their new home, proof that understanding was stronger than fear. And so, the three little pigs of this new age had done more than just build strong houses. They had helped create a new way of living on New Soul, where the rain that once threatened them now sang them to sleep each night, a lullaby of harmony between two worlds.